Hello everyone. In this tutorial, I will demonstrate how to customize Blender to improve initial workflow on a laptop or in general to get the most out of Blender right from the start. With Blender open, this will be the default scene when you first open Blender. You can see there's a light, a camera, and a cube. First, let's go ahead and delete these objects by hitting A. That'll select all the objects in our scene and hitting delete. Now let's go to user preferences. You can hit spacebar to search, or you can press Ctrl-Alt-U to bring up the user preferences menu. Alright, first let's go to input. Under presets, you'll see the key bindings for 3ds Max or Maya. If you are already familiar with those key bindings, you may want to choose one of these settings, as it'll allow you to jump right into modeling in Blender and do other things without having to learn new key bindings immediately. Below this bar, you'll see emulate a 3-mouse button. This means that if you don't have a mouse with a scroll wheel, you can use a modifier key to emulate a right mouse click or a left mouse click. According to blender.org, this can be achieved by hitting Alt left mouse button. Below that, you'll see emulate numpad. Now, if you're on a laptop, you may not have a full numeric keypad. If that's the case, if you select emulate numpad, you can change the views in 3D viewport by hitting the associated keys. One would be front view, 2 would be side view, and so on and so forth. One more thing you may want to do is change the overall look of the Blender interface. On the left, you'll see that there are a bunch of presets. There's the default Blender 2.4 version color scheme, and personally my favorite is the graph color scheme, but you may decide to go with a different one and or tweak the default colors in any of these themes. Now let's save our user settings. Now personally, I prefer to have a cleaner initial interface when I open Blender. So this timeline may not necessarily be needed here. So with that, I will drag this interface down. You'll see some lines here in the left bottom corner. If you click and drag this corner, this window will snap and close the adjacent window. I prefer to stay in orthographic mode when first starting. That's keypad 5, and go into front view. Also, put the cursor in the center. Snap cursor to center. Now let's go ahead and save our user settings. Now, we're done, but let's say you wanted to have different startup files for different type of workflows. You can do that by going to, if you go to the Start menu in Windows and type in % all uppercase app data, all one word, and closed with another % sign, bring up the folder with the various configuration files of the applications installed in your machine. Now if we go to Blender Foundation, you can see that we have two different configs for the different versions of Blender. Since I'm using 2.77, I'll go into this folder, go into config, and userprefs.blend is the startup file that Blender will use by default when you start Blender. Now let's say we wanted to use a different theme. We could copy this file. And now, if you go into command line, Blender has a few features that are accessible via the command line. If we enter the folder via the command line, we can invoke Blender and also the file that we would want to use. Let's say it was this file right here. This would open up Blender and our default file. Now you can make a script out of this or a shortcut and open Blender with your own preferences. That's it for this tutorial. I hope you learned something useful. Feel free to subscribe and leave a comment or a like for this video. Let me know if I missed anything or if there's another feature you would like to see in this tutorial. Thank you very much and have a good day.